What is good, everybody? AHS Rules back again with another video as we're here for another Ring of Honor TV review, episode number 91 to be exact. Shout out Dennis Rodman, because the only sport, and Preston Smith, the only sports athletes that I know that wear number 91. I know they're not the only two, but the two most notable in my brain. We got a lot to discuss, Ring of Honor related. During the course of this video, we had a big announcement take place over the course of this week that we'll kick the video off with. I'm going to try my best to go through this quickly and not to botch, because it has been an extremely long day, and like I said, we do have a lot to go over. The most notable thing, let me backtrack real quick. This was a very good episode of Ring of Honor Wrestling, so I will recommend that you do watch it. Nothing really skip-worthy on it, so there's that as well. The big announcement, and it's been announced for a couple of days now, but finally get to talk about it in video form. That final battle, ROH's biggest event of the year, is returning to the Hammerstein Ballroom in the Manhattan Center, a part of 3 days worth of ROH/AEW action on December 20th. Obviously, a lot of final battles took place at the Manhattan Center. In Ring of Honor lore, in my brain, I call it the Hammerstein. If you know, you know. But it will be December 20th. The next day will be a live version of Collision, and then the day after that will be a taped version of Dynamite that will air on Christmas Day. So we got a lot of action taking place in New York City that weekend. So I'm glad that Final Battle is actually announced and finally announced. Hopefully the matchups quickly start going through, because this is like a month away, and it's pretty crazy that the window of them announcing it and whatnot, it was what it was, but it's fine. To quote one famous Ring of Honor World Champion, it's Final Battle, it's always at the Hammerstein. So there's that. It returns home. This is a extremely weird side note, and I'm not the best source of it, and I did not look into it in heavy detail. But Ian Riccaboni was mentioned on commentary that on July 11th of 2025, so a long ways away from now, that there will be a special ROH event that is all-in weekend. And if you buy like one of the all-in bundle packages, that you get to go to that event. So I don't know exactly what that was, but at least we have 2 Ring of Honor related events announced in the same week. So if y'all care enough, and you're going to be in the Texas area, July 11th, 2025, you might could go to an ROH event. I'm not the most reliable source for it. Go look at all-in travel packages. Let's get into this week's episode of ROH. Like I said, a very good episode that I enjoyed, with the first matchup. Yes, I gotta freaking wipe my nose. The first matchup being Gabe Kidd versus Angelico. Gabe Kidd's supposed to be do something pretty cool at Wrestle Dynasty, more than likely. We'll see if that happens or not. Gabe Kidd versus Angelico. An aggressive side of Gabe Kidd is shown in the start of the match after an open hand slap and opening slap to start the match. After this, a series of clotheslines and kicks are landed by Angelico, and then he tries to follow it up with some roll-ups that only get a 2 count. Gabe Kidd hits a brainbuster that gets a 2 count, but a pile driver that he hits gets a 3 count and the win. As the next matchup is JD Drake and Beef versus Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty. Drake and Taylor are scheduled to start the match off, but Beef wants in, and he does. So Beef and Shane Taylor start the match off, and they start off with a chop exchange. Then Drake tags in. This is a very noteworthy thing of the match. Drake tags in, and he Irish whips Moriarty into Beef's launching ass in an impressive maneuver. STP retaliate with trapping Drake in their corner. Beef and Drake try to do some double team work, but it is stopped when Taylor distracts Drake and leads to him messing up his top rope moonsault. Taylor hits a Uranagi and big splash onto Drake, with Taylor and Moriarty winning the matchup. And then afterwards, Sean Dean and Trish Adora of Shane Taylor Promotions / the Infantry jump in and attack Beef and Drake as well, with the Undisputed Kingdom coming out to make the save, and Taven calling out Moriarty, important at Moriarty wanting a pure title shot that he has talked about on several occasions. A very weird segment. I think I very misunderstood this segment, and it kind of is a little bit repetitive. But it involves the righteous, and they say that they have a poem. Now, I'm not going to recite it, mainly because, in my eyes and in my opinion, it wasn't a poem. It was just reminiscent on this cowbell that they've used to attack Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara with. So, if there was a poem, I completely missed it. But Dutch reminisces about the moment in which Dustin's father, his quotes, not mine, he does not ever say his name, Dustin's father, gave him the cowbell, and that it made him more proud than he ever was of Dustin to give it to him. So, I don't know. I'm not going to say I'm over it, but it's just like every time with this is either the same thing or just something out of left field that I never really understand. As the next matchup, though, is Kevin Knight, one half of the IWGP Junior Tag Team Champions, who I believe the other half is Kushida. It's very weird. I will go ahead and say it. I will say it. Because I was thinking it during the course of this show, mainly this matchup. It's weird that Impact and AEW have a relationship together. No, I just messed that up. AEW and Impact have a relationship with New Japan, but they don't have a relationship anymore. So Kevin Knight has competed on Impact / and it's also weird that I called it Impact. For the longest time, I always called it TNA. Now that they're changed back to TNA, I'm going to refer to it as Impact. I'm going down left foot. But more than what I'm trying to get at is Kushida competed on TNA tonight. So it was weird to see where his tag team partner was, competing on ROH. But in this matchup, though, it's Kevin Knight and Serpentico. Fast-paced action between the two early with a sky-high and frog splash by Knight getting a close 2 count. Knight avoids Serpentico's top rope maneuver to hit a big super kick, haluva kick, and clothesline, winning him the matchup. As our next matchup is Mike Bennett versus Tomohiro Ishii, as Tomohiro Ishii is preparing for his Ring of Honor World Title match on next week's Dynamite Thanksgiving Eve edition against Chris Jericho. No code of honor, as Ishii just wants to get into the action, and the match starts off with a series of chops between the two that goes on for a while, with Bennett eventually crumbling. This is followed, however, by Bennett targeting the injured knee of Ishii, but Bennett takes too long while on the top rope, and Ishii gets up there and hits a big suplex. This is followed by a running lariat with getting a 2 count, and then Ishii avoids a pile driver to hit a brain buster and win the matchup. As we do get our throwback match of the week next week, we have the red pin. I did not skip last week's match. I did not review last week's match because it's dead ass a match that I have reviewed before. However, they recovered this week by presenting a match that, if I have seen, I don't remember. I also think and recommend, because this first matchup kind of helps it, but I would recommend and think that for now until Final Battle, we're going to get Final Battle related matches, mainly ones that were at the Hammerstein / Manhattan Center, but that might be overthinking it. But what made me think that way is this first matchup, this throwback match of the week, from Final Battle 2008, December 27th, Kensuke Sasaki and Kazushi Nakajima versus the Briscoes. This match starts off with Mark and Nakajima, and then the two exchange chops with Sasaki and Jay tagging in soon after, and them exchanging tops, with a lot of the early offense from this match being Sasaki and Nakajima throwing lariats and targeting the knee of Mark. Mark hits a fireman's buster suplex that leads to him getting the tag to bring Jay back in. Nakajima lands several kicks and tagging in Sasaki, who lands a double clothesline on both Briscoe brothers. Nakajima follows this up with some more kicks, he has fast feet, is the best way that I can explain that. Mark's knee is too damaged for the Briscoes to land a Doomsday device on the first attempt. However, they soon recover with a second attempt, and Sasaki breaks up the pinfall attempt. However, a massive J-Driller is hit on Nakajima, with Mark holding Sasaki back and the Briscoes picking up the victory. Final Battle-wise, I've not seen Final Battle 08 all the way through. I've now seen this match. I've definitely saw the main event, which is Danielson Morishima in a Fight Without Honor. I will also say that I'm fairly certain I've watched all Final Battle 09 until every final battle after that, because I definitely watched 09, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. What the hell? It was 20. 2019, I would have to like rewatch. That is an extremely weird time period for ROH. 2020 was not the most noteworthy final battle because that was pandemic year, and then 2021 was supposed to be the last ever final battle, and we've had 2, now 3 more since then, as I went through a bit of final battle lore and history, but more of that will be coming up in the coming weeks on the road to this year's final battle, as we have 3 more matches left on this week's ROH. The next one being Davari versus Shingo Takagi, a man that I wish competed on Ring of Honor more regularly, but enjoy when he appears. Shingo is the aggressor early until Mark Sterling distracts him, and this leads to Shingo Davari attacking Shingo on the outside. Shingo's arm is damaged on the outside and takes more damage after a hammerlock DDT by Davari, but it only gets a 2 count. Davari lands a frog splash that also gets a 2 count, but Shingo lands a series of lariats and the last of the dragon to pick up the victory. So our next matchup, a proving ground bout. Athena versus Layla Gray. And I will not lie to you, it definitely is weird that we got this set up last week when Layla Gray interrupted an emergency mem. And the just main thing that I took away from that segment is Layla Gray saying Top Flight and Top Flight Enterprises are the best. And then Athena like laughing at her. And I'm like, that is cold-hearted, that is harsh, but it's a bit of a truth. But we get Athena versus Layla Gray in the proving ground. Gray lands an impressive Hurricane Rana that gets a 2 count, and then the 2 go to the outside with Athena landing a big drop kick and following up with throwing Gray into the ring steps. Once back in the ring, Gray hits a Bulldog that gets a 2 count. Athena tricks Gray into going into the corner to land a handspring palm strike. The 2 battle on the top rope with Gray hitting a sunset bomb that gets a close 2 count. However, a triangle choke by Athena leads to Gray immediately tapping out, and Athena holds on to this. Surprised that the referee did not overturn this, but Athena did win this matchup. As our next matchup is our last matchup and our main event for the Television Championship, Brian Cage versus A.R. Fox. A match that I was very happy that I could write all the notes down without having to use another sheet of paper. We go to the outside almost immediately with Fox reversing Cage's powerbomb attempt into several dive attempts and a swanton off of the top rope. Once back in the ring, a big lariat by Cage slows things down, with Fox reversing a slam attempt by Trippy Cage into the ropes and following that up with a drop kick. Fox hits another drop kick in the corner and a DDT for a 2 count. Fox hits a Code Red that also gets a 2 count. And then Fox hits a rolling Spicoli driver and a 450 splash that gets another 2 count. Cage stops Fox from hitting a Spanish Fly by hitting a Tornado DDT and a series of power bombs that you would think would end the match, but no. It gets a 2 count. We get one last close 2 count that comes from A.R. Fox's roll-up attempt, but Cage follows this up with a lariat and a drill call. And we technically do get another 2 count, but it is followed up with the 3 because Brian Cage retained. It ends this episode of Ring of Honor Wrestling. Very good episode. Like I said, I say this almost every week. I have no clue what to expect on next week's episode. I might be lying to y'all a little bit because I sometimes read the spoilers for ROH. I thought this was going to be an extremely lengthy episode, and then I came to the realization that they don't have time to record for next week's episode because they have Full Gear this weekend. There's no Collision this weekend. And they normally don't like or do Ring of Honor tapings on Dynamite days because they got to tape Rampage and whatnot. So a lot of those spoilers that I might have saw potentially for next week's episode. Granted, it's been an extremely long week, and I've completely blanked and forgotten about the other things that potentially could have happened. So we'll see what happens then. Like I said, this is a big video to make. I don't want to mess up anymore, so I'm going to wrap it up before I say something stupid. So something stupid that I will not say is, I do appreciate y'all for watching this video. please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Watch my Full Gear predictions that I made prior to this video, and I'll see you in the next one, because I'm out.